Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here. And in today's GTA video, we're going to be talking about what could be an insane GTA 6 leak. And it comes off the back of one we already got earlier this week. Remember, it came from Rockstar Games insider Tez Funds 2, who essentially gave us two interesting nuggets. The first was that Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to get its announcement in 2022. So we are finally in the year of GTA 6, if you can believe it. And if you go by what he says, which as we discussed in that video, one of the most reputable leakers, data miners, insiders we have in the Rockstar world. And he also expects that in Grand Theft Auto 6, they would allow us to have access to more buildings and interiors, just given what we've seen and improvements that were made in Red Dead Redemption 2 and that were supposed to be made with Bully 2, a game that Rockstar never ended up coming out with. So that's what we talked about earlier on in this week. And there was another user on social media who has an incredibly accurate, almost scary accurate backstory, has given us some GTA 6 news. So this takes a little bit of explaining, and it's going to have to talk about things that are not GTA for just a hot minute. So it comes from the Twitter account in GT. They right now only have about 3,000, a little over, followers, and they don't talk about Grand Theft Auto a ton. But long story short, this individual leaked the new Star Wars game coming from Quantic Dream. They leaked the title of it. They also leaked a screenshot that was shown exclusively in a trailer at the Game Awards. He put out this information, which seemingly went unnoticed for weeks at a time. And then when the game was announced, everyone was like, wait a minute, this guy knew about this thing the entire time. Like, what's going on here? So clearly, he has a source inside the gaming world that gives him pretty good access to stuff like this. So that's why I'm saying I'm pretty sure this track record here is pretty good. So now that you know that backstory, let's go ahead and dive into what he ended up talking about. He said this, and I apologize for this being a couple of days or weeks old at this point. We kind of got sucked into the contract DLC. He said about GTA 6, some people don't realize how chaotic the development is. I really think there will be disappointment for many people for some aspects, of course, not the graphic side. And if the game is announced this year / early 2022, we can really be worried. Okay. So if you guys are wondering what he's talking about from the disappointment of the aspect side, he says the story. That's something that's interesting that we will talk about going forward, but let's just go down the list. He says the development is extremely chaotic, and this would not be surprising given the recent story we heard from Rockstar that Bully 2 was in development for multiple years and was supposed to come out on several different occasions, and we obviously never ended up seeing that happen. I'll leave a link to that article in the description if you guys are interested. Long story short, Rockstar tried to work on Bully 2 for like 15 plus years. The game never came out, so that would obviously be a chaotic development cycle. We also know that Rockstar in general has had a little bit of turmoil over the last couple of years with big-time names like Leslie Benzies and Dan Houser ended up leaving the company. These are some of the guys that created the original Grand Theft Auto titles and have been there for everyone since then. So that's obviously going to create sort of a huge shockwave when it comes to, the next GTA title. We obviously had this thing called the pandemic that's still going into its third year right now. So that might have had a huge impact on how development is going, whether it be working from home or just simply losing talented employees, developers, artists, etc., not being able to record motion capture stuff or audio stuff. So it's not surprising that development probably extremely chaotic here. He also says that the story is going to be disappointing. And to me, I would be extremely upset if this is the case because I think that my two favorite games of all time, story-wise, we have Red Dead Redemption 2 and Grand Theft Auto 4. It doesn't take anything away from GTA 5. I just thought those two stories were better, especially Red Dead Redemption 2's. So if Rockstar unfortunately sacrifices the story for maybe let's just say something like multiplayer or online or something like that, I'm going to be disappointed because the single player is one of my favorite parts of getting a new GTA title, obviously. And until Grand Theft Auto Online, that's all we really had was the single player of the Grand Theft Auto game. So it'd be kind of upsetting if that side of things wasn't necessarily all that great. And then going back to that earlier leak, that if the game is announced in early 2022, he says that we need to be really worried. Now, I'm not sure about that. I would honestly be ecstatic if Rockstar announced the game this year. In fact, I really hope they do, because that kind of just means they're setting up for a 2024, 2025, at the best, I would say, 2023 late release. So I don't know why that would be bad news, because at that point in time, we would probably be on like the slim and pro versions of the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and S. So a lot of people would start to get their hands on these consoles. You'd hope by then we're not dealing with the pandemic and all the issues and challenges that have been associated with that. So I honestly, hopefully think that a 2022 release would be good news. So I'm kind of in the other camp and saying I hope it is announced in 2022. That would actually be really fun to finally get that announcement. And speaking of announcement, obviously GTA 6 trends all the time. One thing I've been asked to talk about is footage that players have seen of the Unreal Engine 5 from the Matrix game. A lot of people have been saying, is this what GTA 6 is going to look like? And I think the answer is something similar to this. We know that Rockstar doesn't use the Unreal Engine, except for in the GTA Trilogy, the Definitive Edition. They have their own Rockstar Games engine, which actually does look very similar. But yes, this is kind of what you can expect going forward, the sort of tech that companies like Rockstar and other developers will ultimately utilize to make their games even more realistic. I mean, Red Dead Redemption 2, some of the most realistic looking stuff in the world, and that was all the way back in 2018. I mean, it's 2022 now, and that game still looks ridiculous. So people have been asking me, is this what GTA 6 footage is going to be like? The answer is probably yes, in a roundabout way. It might not look exactly like this, but it's going to be extremely realistic. I mean, we almost won't even recognize it when compared to the last GTA title, Grand Theft Auto 5. So I'm really excited about this. I sure hope that 2022 is the year of Grand Theft Auto 6 finally being announced. That would just be the ultimate, and I know it would make fans so incredibly happy. But as always, I would love to hear from you guys in those comments down below. What do you think of this latest leak from this reputable leaker, insider, who had information correct on a crazy unreleased title, the Star Wars Eclipse video game? So let me know what you guys think in those comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys down there. If you guys did go and enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new. You want to stay up to date on all the latest GTA and all the Rockstar Games videos that I'll be doing here on my channel. And be sure to ring that notification bell as well. Sometimes YouTube just doesn't work, and if you ring that bell, you'll always be guaranteed to be notified when new videos arrive. But of course, as always, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.